My goodness, have you just heard that was just Steve Denny going, all I heard, because I was listening to Liam's chat in my ear, we're going to come back now. Steve Denny just went, I'll be sitting on my sofa, crying, drinking my own drinks. When? What?
Good morning, everybody.
Afternoon.
Afternoon.
Hey.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Here we are. What a year it's been.
Good or bad, do you reckon?
Interesting.
No, that's the British way of saying utterly dreadful. The worst.
A lot has happened, isn't it?
A lot has happened.
You very kindly asked me to come on and pick some of the big kind of talking points.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm kind of trawling through all the big programmes and lots of big moments this year. Unexpected big moments. We're going to start at the new year with, right at the start of this year, with Mr. Bates versus the Post Office, which I watched all of it in one go and was utterly compelled, was furious, was emotional. I've got a little clip. I wonder, this is brilliant. This is 30 seconds of why this programme changed everything this year. Take a look.
Let's do it.
You're responsible for the loss.
I haven't got that money, and I don't know where it's gone.
These deficits were most likely caused by you. That is the Post Office case.
All our hopes, all our savings down the pan.
That was a lie, actually. We are fighting a war against an enemy owned by the British government, while we're just skint little people.
Isn't it powerful?
It was. What I loved about this, because, you know, working in journalism, it's a story that, you know, was circulating in the papers for years, essentially. Yes. This came out and it personified something that in print just felt a bit complex. And,
because I didn't get it. I saw Horizon Computer Systems and Postmasters, but I didn't realise the human cost, you know, of this. And it reignited calls for justice as soon as it was broadcast. It led to the government taking action. They probably would have got round to it, but all eyes on when the action was going to happen, how much these poor people were going to get. I think what I never understood was the social costs. You know, they lost their job, they lost everything, but also these postmasters had a crucial role in their local environment, and people didn't trust them anymore. Yeah. And once that trust is lost, it's devastating. The stigma in the
community. And, you know, when you see the accusations, and it's basically a family-run business that you've lost there.
Yes.
And the sums of money they were being asked to pay for an ordinary person, because it's not like you're running a post office, you're making the big bucks, just astronomical. Yeah. And I can't, I mean, I lose sleep over the stupidest little things. Yeah. I cannot imagine that burning injustice of being accused of something so big that you know was not you, that frustration that no one's listening to you, the despair.
And every morning these people using this computer system that's been thrust upon them, and you switch it on and your debt has doubled or tripled, and you know, you can see your life crumbling in front of you, and nobody listened. Nobody really listened until this TV show appeared. So it was one of the biggest kind of miscarriages, I think, in British justice. Yeah. And it was sorted thanks to this show. And if you haven't seen it, it's on the ITV player. As I say, 5 episodes. You'll watch it in one go. You'll be furious. I cried my eyes out, actually, watching it.
I made me a bit tearful just watching that 30 seconds there. It just it sort of makes you think, my God.
Really emotional. Next up is Baby Reindeer.
That was huge. That was massive.
And I'm mentioning it because we had such a big moment on Talk. The whole world watched the real Martha, who came in and spoke to Piers Morgan, and this is what happened. Take a look at this.
Guilty.
You were charged with the harassment of Gerald Dunn and Eleanor Dunn between the dates of the 6th of June 2016 and the 22nd of March 2017. Are you guilty or not guilty?
Guilty. My little reindeer.
Now, again, there is obviously a resemblance between...
Do you think so? That's hardly flattery.
Well, I don't mean to flatter you or not flatter you. I just think there is a resemblance, you know, having met you, and you both speak Scottish people. Yeah. But the fundamental point of this is, did you take part in that? So did you go to jail? Did you have a trial?
Of course not. Of course not.
Have you ever been to prison?
No.
Yes, this programme had it all.
It was fascinating. It's like it was armchair psychiatry, wasn't it? Yeah. Just watching, looking for the clues, the ticks, you know.
Yeah, I mean, so the TV show itself, really interesting this, because the TV show, it kind of... It was put on Netflix with a bit of a whimper. No one was watching it for the first couple of weeks. And then everybody got fascinated to find out, is it a true story and who is this person? And remember, we hadn't seen her until she came in here into News UK and she spoke to Piers Morgan. I remember watching that show as it was aired, and you can see on YouTube the amount of people watching it. It was going up 10,000 people per 10 seconds around the world. The whole world watched it.
I think we missed a trick, though. I think that interview would have been absolutely gangbusters if it had been done by Jeremy Kyle. Can you imagine? Get the lie detector test out.
But the amazing thing is, we're now in the middle of this court case. We've all seen it. I mean, 70 million people have seen this on, and it's quite, it is deeply unsettling. It's constantly surprising. It's harrowing. There are a lot of very kind of emotionally strange people, to be polite, in this series. And one moment you're on his side, and then you're on her side.
I didn't feel like I was on his side much at all. Part of me is still slightly sympathetic to her.
Well,
Like,
you know, she said,
she's a troubled woman,
she said to Piers, the thing is, Netflix said this was a true story. I've never been in court. I didn't go to court. I've never been put in, I never, you know, served jail time. And I could be identified within 10 seconds. So when this came out, if you wrote Baby Reindeer, Scottish lawyer, her name popped up. So it's going to be interesting to see what Netflix do. If you watch it on Netflix, you still get "This is a true story." Pops up 2.5 minutes into the first episode. This is a true story. So it's fascinating to see what's going to happen. She's suing them for millions, as you would expect. But what a great TV show.
You think she's probably got a solid case, actually?
I would think so. I would think so. But Netflix, I mean, you would expect them to be over this legally before they air such a statement.
This is a great narrative, and it doesn't matter. She can sue or just pay. I mean, they must have a lot of money in the bank, old Netflix.
There's very few of these shows where we all watch it, we all have an opinion, we love it, we get behind it, and this is the show of the year, I think.
That's true. Right. Good one.
Should we talk about some people that we lost this year, some surprises, and some sadness? I mean, Dame Maggie Smith, I think, you know, it's one of those rare occasions where you go on social media and everybody had a memory, an RIP message.
A meme.
This lady's career is 7 decades, and she won all of the awards, 2 Oscars. What I loved about her, reading about her life, is she very much loved the stage work, which she wasn't that famous for, you know, the Shakespearean works. The stuff that she didn't like was the stuff that made her a household name. So, like, you know, your Harry Potters, Downton Abbey. She hated Downton Abbey because, because, I mean, she's so legendary, but she said that was the moment that she started getting bothered. So when she started to, she loved going to the theatre, but when she went to the theatre and people wanted autographs and selfies, it kind of got in the way. She was an actor's actor, and she did it all. And I think she loved the, you know, the instant kind of fever of being on at the theatre. You know, the fact that you can see the audience.
The sort of immediacy of it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, could you imagine if all the listeners right now sort of sat, I'd be terrified. I really hate public speaking. I can sit and do this because
that amazes me, but you don't like it in person.
Box, you know, nobody's out there really. But if I were to stand on a stage and even do a presentation to 10 school kids, I'd be trembling.
Yeah, absolutely. But very sad that she's passed. Obviously, she was old. I think the shock of the year is poor Liam Payne.
Yeah, I know.
That was an absolute shocker and a tragedy. We've got a Virgin Radio special on our YouTube page of people we've lost this year. And I was saying, you know, in a world of PR events, this was so un-PR'd. You know, the poor guy died on his own. Just yesterday, 5 people have been charged in connection with this murder. So this will carry on in the new year. But he was in a desperately bad way. People filmed stuff in the, you know, the hours leading up to this awful situation, and you got somebody who spent more than half of his life in the public eye, and he finished his life on his own.
It's so hard.
Really awful.
It's so hard for when people have fame when they're young. Because it's 14 when he first auditioned and came back at 16, but that's young.
Yeah.
To suddenly be catapulted into every teenage girl's dream and ludicrously famous. It's a level of celebrity internationally that
you couldn't even fathom, could you?
No. And it ruins a person. It really does harrow them.
And when you have all of that so young, remember, he was the person, he was told, you're going to be the out-and-out star of One Direction, and that didn't happen. For whatever reason, Harry Styles managed to kind of step up to that mantle, and he was just left a bit like, oh, is that what it is now? Is that all I've got? You know, it must be really difficult. And our thoughts and prayers go to his friends, his family. Seeing those boys together at that funeral was heartbreaking, wasn't it? It wasn't supposed to happen that way.
No, absolutely not. And I like your number 4. I want to talk about that. We haven't got much time left, so rattle through.
All right, Diddy's charged with sex trafficking, racketeering, transportation, to engage in prostitution. This is rumbling on. He's in the same detention centre as Luigi, isn't he? Luigi, the guy, the assassin.
The assassin.
The you know, who shot the, you know, in New York, the New York assassin of recent times, who the healthcare guy who got, you know, Brian.
Got it. Sorry,
So it's all rumbling on. Obviously, we've got news stories about Jay-Z at the moment.
I love all this.
All these videos and stuff. So this could potentially take a lot of people down in the new year.
Really
this is only beginning. This is just beginning. So all eyes on this story when it does go to court in the new year.
I can't wait.
I've also got the Oasis stuff. Dynamic pricing was the new term that we learned this year.
Oh, right,
Because of these poor people who spent 8 hours trying to get Oasis tickets. They never thought they'd go and see this show, and they were quoted £150. At the actual time when they had to pay for the tickets, they went up to £400. Dynamic pricing, it can't happen. And I think in the new year, things will be put into place to make sure it doesn't happen. But there we are. What a year.
What a year, Steve. Thank you ever so much. And do catch up with us all next year. Keep us updated.
Of course I will.
About Diddy Gate especially, because I am all over it.